Hey everybody, welcome to PDQ Live. We are going to do PDQ A with me, all alone and scared. But before we jump into that, let's listen to my imaginary friend Andrew as he tells you about some exciting upcoming events.
Yes, so we have some PDQ Connect feature research we're trying to conduct. The product manager for PDQ Connect is hoping to schedule some 30-minute interviews next week. So if you have some availability, they'll show you a few mock-up product designs as well as ask about certain tools and processes your team is already using. And if you're interested and have 30 minutes available, you can schedule an interview, and I will have a link in the description and in the chat. And it's time for State of Sysadmin 2024. Woohoo! So PDQ is kicking off its third annual State of System Administration survey, and we'd love your input. Last year, we surveyed over 1,000 IT pros to understand salaries, popular IT tools, cybersecurity trends, and the one true pronunciation of GIF. So take our survey and help us gather insights into what IT looks like right now.
And finally, we're at a conference this week. Aren't we? Yes, we are.
TCEA?
We are.
All right. Are we ready?
Well, I guess.
Okay.
I guess we can do this. We're throwing Jordan into the fire.
This is good. I'm known for my self-confidence, so this is good for me. Let's start throwing up some questions so I can give all of the answers.
All right, let's do this. Question number 1. Is there a way to access tools from within a deployment? For example, jobs error out and you know some of the devices just need a reboot. Sincerely, Russell K.
So directly from the tools, not so much, because if you come in here and you do the reboot shutdown, it's just on the machines you have collected in inventory. There's no quick way to copy and paste. But there are some things you can do with deploy. So if I go down here to my not at all pre-done failure script, where we had a whole bunch of errors. There's two options. If this is a custom package that you built, you can go into the package and add a step. In this case, go in and add a reboot step at step 2, because I had that where it failed. And then you come into where it failed and you say, or where is it? Right click, redeploy from failed step. And then you have the option there where you can start it from, and you can just choose step 2. And then it will keep all the steps that were successful. It'll do the reboot and it'll continue on. That works well for custom packages. If it's not a custom package, it's one of ours, you can't really add a step in the middle there. The other option you have is you can highlight the ones that failed. Control C, and we'll say just a new package real quick. If you have one that's just for a reboot. I'll get there. Here we go. We want that to be 0 seconds. So just reboot. And then when you go to deploy that once, you can paste. That's the new package again. We're going to do deploy package. You can just paste in the ones that have failed and do a reboot from there, and then do the start from failed step again. Those are the two ways I can think around it. The last one is if you are dead set on using the tool, you can have a collection that's looking for errors in a deployment. That's a table that's already pre-built in there, and you can have, so the collection will have all those, and you can just run the reboot against that collection. All right.
Nailed it.
Yeah, it's almost like I was prepared for that one.
Yeah, something like that.
You're pretty good.
All right, next question. Has there been any consideration to implementing if-then-else logic in PDQ deploy for deployments? Sincerely, Daryl C.
So on this one, not that I know of. The main reason is deploy is not a smart product. It is a fantastic product. You tell it to do something, it does it efficiently and great, but it doesn't do logic so well. Inventory handles all of that. So if you're looking for if-else based on a step, it's not going to function great just because deploy is not going to know what to do with it. You can do somewhat of that where you can have a condition of it be if this step fails, then continue. But that's not going to be an if-else. That's just going to be a for a failure continue. There's no real way to do the robust logic that I know of. It'd be pretty cool to be able to do, though.
Yeah, you have some step level conditions there, but even that's pretty limited.
All right, ready for another one? This one is a novel. Prepare yourself. Is it possible to exclude a certain OU from being scanned in inventory? We have an OU labeled disabled devices for machines that are removed from the network but not yet deleted. But when we look into machines missing patches and updates, we want to exclude them. However, I don't want to add a rule to exclude them for every single collection. Sincerely, Michael Vick? Really? Okay.
I'm glad
Didn't
they
know
did
he was
that.
so techie.
It's nice to hear from a multi-time All-Pro. On this one, I could take this a couple ways. Is it possible to scan? If that means that you don't want them in inventory at all, that's pretty quick to do. If you go to Control Command, open the preferences down to Active Directory, you can do here and do an exclude container where you can specify that one, and that will remove them out of inventory so they're not in there. The other one, you said they're disabled. If they're disabled in Active Directory, you can uncheck the sync disabled computers and it should get rid of them. But if it's different than that, you want them in inventory, but you don't want them to be scanned, there's not a great option, but there's some things you can do. If you build a dynamic collection about that OU, looking for machines in that OU, you can go in and select all of them and just right click and do just allow scan. That will stop scanning for all of them. That way it won't do scanning, but if you're using those collections for deployments, it's still going to be found in the deployment. So it's not an ideal one. If you want it in inventory, but you want it removed from all collections, short of making a list or having something to go through and do the exemption, I can't think of a great way to do it.
Okay, moving right along. Can PDQ install Office Pro 2019? And the other question, can PDQ install the Office Mac key on a PC? Dale P.
So this is actually one we went in depth in, I'm going to say 3 months ago. I can kind of give a quick recap. There's a lot that goes into it. Yes, it can. The way that Office installs has changed for Microsoft. It's not just you get an install file, but you have to go down and download. It's like a custom deployment tool. And then it gives you these little XMLs here that give you the settings. And if you're looking for very specific, they have a configuration website you can go to where you can set all of that. And that includes including a Mac key. And then from there with those, you can do deployment. But the installer is just a little bit different on that one. So it requires a lot of setup. For the full details on that, I don't know if we have a link to that webcast. I put it in the notes if we can share that, where we kind of walk through the entire process on that one.
We'll have that in at the end of the webcast.
All right.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. We are implementing Intune. What do you have that will work with this? We love PDQ deploy and inventory. Sincerely, Lori C. And Lori C., we love you too. Random citizen. Yes.
So Intune is basically cloud group policy, for lack of a better word. It does a lot of great things. Password policies for machines that aren't remote. Not great for installing software. So if you're using deploying inventory, you're moving to Intune, but machines are still local. Deploying inventory will still pick up right where you left off. Should be fine for that. But if it is because you're going more remote-based and you're looking to work with them, deploying inventory are local-based. They don't work great remote, but you can use PDQ Connect, which has a lot of the same similarities and has an agent. And for that one, you can actually use Intune to install the Connect agent, so they check it in. And on yesterday, November 1st, Jake Costello wrote a blog about using Intune to install the agent. He walks you through all the process to do that, and that would get you up and running.
Real quick, we have a clarification on a previous question. He says, update on the OU question. I'm wanting to remove the OUs from the domain structure, so only show OUs that have computers instead of user OUs, etc.
Okay. All right, so if you're looking for to customize the OU specifically for that, if we go back to the default one. So if you just use the top level domain for the include, it's going to go through and it's going to grab all of them. We have the include subtree. If you're looking for picking and choosing or only grabbing certain areas, instead of just grabbing the root domain, you could go down to any, like in this case, you don't want users. Well, I'll find there's the computers OU, there's no sub OU there. You can go pick and choose from there, and if it's in multiple locations, you can just grab a couple of them, where you're grabbing from 2 different spots, and do that include, and then just do the hard exclude for the ones you don't want. So It's not just one container. You can get pretty specific in there. You can have multiple options in there, and every time you do the sync, it should pull in what you're looking for.
All right. Let's move on to something new. When scanning systems with PDQ inventory, can PDQ inventory tell me, 1, the install date of the software, 2, are there updates available for the software, and 3, is there a newer version of the software? Keith H.
So 2 and 3 are dependent, and we'll kind of cover that. So the first one, install date, that is something that we grab by default. It's actually in the table. A collection wouldn't be great unless you're looking for software that was installed before or after a certain date when you want to get particular. That's more for a report. But if we do a new basic report, we want the computer name, the application name, and then the application, install date. That's what we're grabbing. And then that's going to grab all the devices that you have with the application and the install date. And then for filters, if you want a specific date, you could fine tune it there, say, I don't want anything that was installed before X. But if we run just this one here, and you see every software for every machine comes in there, but if you want to say specifically you want to track by software, right-click on the top and group by this column, and it's going to go and grab all of the software you find, 7-zip with their version and the name, and I'm going to let it go. And then for each application, it's going to come down here, and it's going to tell you the name of the computer that has it, and the date that it was installed. So that grabs that. As far as 2 and 3, on if you're wondering, can we see if there's a newer version or not? If it is already in the package library, then yes. Every time something updates, we have all the processes in place. We update that. We keep our collections up to date by default, so you don't have to look at it. If it's one where it's a collection that we don't have in the collection library, unfortunately, if we don't have it in there, it's because we don't have the licensing to do the install, so we don't track it so much. But you can build your own. But when it updates, it's up to you to track. A couple years ago, I did one where I did a web scraper for software not in our library, where it would update all that for you. You can track that. It's a lot of work, but once it's in place, it's pretty fantastic. And if you're looking for a quick collection, if we go to just inventory and do new inventory collection, I'll show you how I build this one out there. That's going to build an XML for me. We're in inventory. We're going to go to the top and do Control-I to import. PDQ Connect agent and open, and it's going to build the entire collection for that agent where it has, this is the latest version, these are the ones that don't have it installed, and this is the one that have an old version installed. So building collections is kind of quick like that. The script for that we have up on the bonus content, but it is just this script right here. It goes in, it looks for the variable name where you're supplying all the core information, and it goes in and it builds an XML for you that has everything you need for a collection.
You're crushing it, dude.
I'm feeling lonely in here.
You know, that's the life of a star.
And it is.
I mean, it just is.
It's what I've always wanted.
We're with you in spirit.
That's right. Or on the other side of the glass. All right, next question. Let's do this. What do you consider to be the best PDQ swag? Hint, hint, wanting some swag. Sincerely, Stu.
The Power of Shell Compels You t-shirt is the easy and an obvious choice. I have 3 of them.
I'm going to say that our best swag hasn't even been released yet.
I agree.
I was in on a meeting on some of the planned swag coming out, and there is some great stuff. But as of this moment, PowerShell compels you.
I got to say, I did love the whiskey tumblers we did with the Lex fingers.
Those were nice.
That was kind of cool because Lex would always ask, you know, how many fingers do you want your pour to be? And Lex's fingers were like the size of sausages. Yeah. So
it was the glass. Yeah, 3 fingers was the glass, I believe.
Yeah, they only came in integers. So you couldn't ask for a half a finger.
Okay. Next question. Is there an easy way to deploy and install using the Target PC's task scheduler program so I can send out a deployment that will go out to all the machines in a collection, but that won't run until a certain time in the day? Or would this only be available with PowerShell? Sincerely, Brandon.
So for me, the best bet on that is just use schedules within deploy. You can set the time that you want that to deploy out when the machine is on there. If you are dead set on using the other one, what makes that difficult is when the deployment goes out there, it connects, it runs a runner service and does everything within a certain OU and stuff that we can't just kind of put out there, leave hanging because we delete it when it's done. So that would be, you'd have to build a task scheduler that calls back to your deploy server saying deploy to me at this date, and then it would come back and do that, which is a more complex schedule. I don't think you're going to get anything unique for that, especially where the schedule you can have a check mark to say if they're not online, then just hit them the next time they show up online. So you can do it. You have to use PowerShell to create the task scheduler, but it's not going to be just a direct wait and run until it's offline. It's going to be, when the time comes, it's going to call back to deploy and request the deployment, which I think schedules are just a better way to go for that.
Okay. This next question, we may get Andrew to chime in on this one as well. How can we, as customers, best communicate our needs to PDQ? With all their products, there are multiple support lines, forums, and Discord channels. Where is the best place to communicate what types of information or requests? Sincerely, James D. Take it away, Jordan and Andrew.
I'm going to let Andrew go first because I'm parched.
There you go.
You're parched. Get a little sip going, man. And you earned it. You earned it this time. Yeah, so if you have official support requests, definitely going through support is the way. Or if you have a feature request or something you're running into, that's probably the best way. But if you're looking to kind of collaborate for quick engagement and how-tos and advice from people in the community and PDQ employees at times, the Discord's a great way to do that. But for all super official things, the official support method is the best way to go.
I like Mike's response. Just stop by the office.
A great answer, no notes. I would say, yeah, if something's broken, contact the official support channels depending on the product. If you're looking for, hey, how would I? Discord is fantastic.
Yeah, we have a very active group there in Discord. They're very, very helpful. Not just fellow users, but PDQ employees as well. So it's really, really cool. All right. Ready to move on.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
I'm going through these faster than I expected.
Oh, we've got more questions. You're good.
Good.
Can we somehow force an IP address on a computer in PDQ deploy and inventory? Sometimes I know the IP for a computer. DNS has been updated and flushed. Service restarted, but inventory deploy still use the old Addy Luke B.
So if it's still pulling in the old address, there's bad info somewhere because it pulls from the DNS. So if the entry's stuck like that, then I'm trying to think of the best solution. Because if you check the...
Well, I'm wondering if they've rescanned since they've ensured all that information is correct, if they've scanned the computers again.
I mean, it's possible. And I know if you check the allow scan and turn that off, you can manually edit the IP, but the moment you enable scan again, it's going to change the IP back to what was in there. So the IP for that that's in there should be pulling from DNS when it first tries out to go to connect. Like it uses the one that's in the device, but if it doesn't get a response from that, it should go query DNS and find the right one. The only thing I could think of, and this is not a great answer, is since we don't keep a history other than like the deployments in there, if you delete it out of inventory and re-add it, it should grab whatever it's finding in there. But if you're doing things based on the deployment history that we do keep a little bit on, then you would lose that. So it's not great. But outside of that, if it is not updating and your DNS is working, I would open a ticket because it should correct the first time it can't reach the device based on that IP.
Okay. Let's do another one, shall we?
All right.
Is there a way to clear the error status on PDQ Connect? I like clean and hate seeing failed deployment status until the next deployment is run. Sincerely, Doug K.
So I don't know of a way to do that within the device, but like if you just built a package that was just running like a directory query, just dir, every time you see that error that you don't want it, they're not working, just run that. It'll just pull back nonsense data and it will clear out the error. But it's not ideal, but it's just that's a low cost quick fix for that. As far as going and modifying, I don't know a way to remove it from just the terminal itself.
Okay, moving right along then. Hey guys, what is the best method to exclude machines from a heartbeat install job where someone removes the software and doesn't want it back? Jason C.
So you have it on a schedule where it's pushing out every time and they're removing it. If the schedule, let's open up a schedule instead of just talking about it. Let's show, not tell. So if we go in and we build a new schedule somehow, I'll get there. The big one is stop deploying to targets once they succeed. So if it was in there, they uninstalled it and has recently succeeded. If that's checked, it shouldn't go to them whether it's heartbeat or not. But if it's not something to the schedule, if it just goes and tries to redeploy based on without the schedule, how to keep it excluded, you would have to go in and either, if you want to exclude them from everything, you have the target filters, you can just throw their name in there, and that will make it so it doesn't go there. Outside of that, you would have to, within your collection, build another bit of logic that says, and computer name not equal to that name, and then it won't show up in that collection at all. And that's, if it's a one-time software thing, that should be fine. But if it's for all software, it gets a little bit busy. But there's quite a few ways to go around and say exclude that one. But for one-time software where you don't want to even worry about it for next time the software updates, just go into your collection that it's pulling from and add one more thing. And basically, computer name is not equal to in their computer name, and it should keep it out of the collection forever.
Yeah, and I'd also add that if you have multiple users who are requesting this, you might want to create a collection for computers to not redeploy Google Chrome or whatever the application is, and add that instead of the individual computer to your collection as an exclusion.
Yeah, so if it was a one-off machine, just it's quick and easy to throw in the machine. But if it's multiples and just a collection of don't have this software and then say not a member of for that collection, then they won't show up there anymore.
Okay, this next question, I think, has been planted by one of Andrew's fans or friends or possibly even his spouse. I don't know, but let's do this. What is Pickleball and who rules the roost at PDQ? Peter L. Sure, it's Peter L. Yeah.
My wife's name, actually, coincidentally.
So, Andrew, go for it.
So, the truth is, I don't know if we really know until I compete in the PDQ official pickleball tournament. I've heard great things about Calvert. I hear he runs things pretty well. But, the jury's still out on who the real best is.
Yeah, right now, I believe Calvert tries to claim it, but he hasn't competed with the best yet.
You actually have a medal, don't you, Andrew? You have an actual medal.
And of course, I have it on hand. Of course, yes, actual medals. But who knows? Pickleball's pretty serious in Utah. They don't take it lightly. There's really good players there. So
I
who
do
knows?
have a follow-up question. Why would you waste your time on that garbage sport when curling is available?
Too hot down here, maybe. I don't know.
The ice melts in Florida. Okay. All right. Well, we will settle that question in January when Andrew is out here. Okay. Next question. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
If I have a PS1 or BAT to install something, should I use a command step or install step to deploy? I just realized I could select the PS1 with a normal install step as well, Mike P.
If it's PS1, we do have also the PowerShell step, which is built specifically for that one. I would recommend using the PowerShell step. The install step works fine. So I'll pull up the package here. So we're talking about each one. So the install step, this basically just goes in and runs whatever it is, and it accepts several file types, batch. I'm going to draw a blank on all of them. If you have one that's going to modify registry in there at all that PS1, and that works fantastic. You can't really go wrong with it. If it's it's a MSI, you can have your silent parameters pre-built. The PowerShell, I prefer this one just because it's specifically built for it, but you can also just include the PowerShell in there if you don't have the script written. That's the one I use by default, and it's probably just because it says the word PowerShell. Install might even be better. And command line is the one that I would choose last, because all you're doing basically is you're including the file and saying use command prompt to call PowerShell. So overall, I think defaulting to install step if it can run it is not a bad call. If you're a hopeless fanboy of a certain language, then use the PowerShell step because you feel cool.
The only thing I'd throw in there is that it might help your coworkers if they're looking at your package. Like if they see an install step, they're probably expecting an install file. So it might just clear up some things for your coworkers if you're sharing a console.
Yeah, I guess look at you worrying about other people.
It's because I care.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And I just use the PowerShell because, it's in the name.
Okay. We've got a few more questions to go.
Let's do it.
Next one. How often are new products evaluated to get added into the package library? Is it based on number of users who vote for a particular application? Might be.
So I'm not sure how often it is evaluated. I know if we get a request often enough, they do look at it. Most of the time, what prevents something going to the library is not whether we want to do it or build the tracking. It is the user agreement with the software. Many times the software says you can't provide this install file, we have to. And we're not looking for that kind of legal fight. But if there is one that you really want, if I open up a ticket for it, I don't know if there's an official channel anymore, but we do keep an eye on that. And if we can build it, we're happy to, because the collection library or the package library is awesome, and adding to it only helps.
Yeah. In fact,
I know.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say, I know our librarian has been working on adding new packages and kind of ironing out the process for getting requests for it. Nothing official to announce in that arena right now. But definitely keep your eyes on the PDQ package change log for when we add new packages. Earlier this month, we added the VMware tools package, which I know is pretty heavily requested.
I've been having some conversations with Brig about the package library, and one of the things we will start doing is the webcast after Patch Tuesday. We're going to explain or just kind of tell you what has been added to the package library. And we're going to go through that a little bit. And next week, we'll be talking about package library and give you a chance to vote on some of the things that you might like us to add. So join us next week for all that. Okay. Ready for another one, Jordan?
Let's do it.
All right. Hang on. You are. I'm not. There we go. Is it possible to mass update MAC addresses on devices for Wake on LAN? Michael V.
Ooh.
Or no. Yeah. Or for WOLL. Sorry. Yeah. Wake on LAN.
So I believe the MAC is pretty static in there based on what the scan is. So if you're looking to change it or update it, it's, especially on the mass scale, you're probably looking at like a SQL query, pulling in the table and updating. And I'm not sure if that would maintain through the next time it scans. So I can't think off the top of my head a good or mass way to do that and have it function. Once you start getting into SQL,
I don't fully understand the question.
Yeah, once you go into mass modifying with SQL, you're just playing with fire, I think.
I'd be curious what they're trying to solve. I mean, it sounds like Wake on LAN, but I'd be curious why they think it's the MAC address that's causing issues.
He's saying here in chat right now, when waking, sometimes it can't find, my screen just died. Let's see. Sometimes it can't find a MAC address, so it asks.
Okay. The MAC address should pull on the first scan. Like I said, I think if you don't allow scanning, that's something you can modify. But even if you changed this with, I'm going to click on this link and see if it leads me somewhere. All the NICs on there. So even if you change this, the MAC is specific to the NIC. So I don't know that changing it would be permanent or if it would work and next time it scans it work. I just can't think of a quick way to do it. It sounds to me, if Wake on LAN's working as asking for that, I don't feel like it should be. Because if it's in there from the scan, it should just be functioning. So can you open a ticket with that one? Because I would be curious. I'd be curious how that goes because, modifying the database would just change what it shows up in deploy. It wouldn't change the MAC address on the NIC.
Yeah, and also with the way Wake on LAN works, I don't think it's actually using this table.
Yeah.
I think it's like resolving it as it goes. So it might be some other networking issue with their Wake on LAN or something else kind of going on.
Yeah, let's open a ticket on that one because I haven't seen that, but that's bad. Macs are static for a reason. So having that, just hearing say that change would be horrifying to see for me.
Okay, we have 2 questions remaining. Hey, Jordan, in PDQ Connect, do you host the custom packages? Is there a size limitation? JMW.
So I believe there is a size limitation for certain installers. I don't know what that is.
I think it's 5 gigabytes, isn't it, for a single file?
Yeah, for a single file, but I don't think that's for the
for the package,
overall, like if it was multiple. So if you did something where it had multiple, or you broke it up into multiple, I don't know of a specific size limitation on that. But we do host it on our side when you build it, but it is unique to your environment. No one else would have access to see it.
All right. Ready for the final question?
Yep.
This one is kind of a throwback to something we talked about in the pre-show. Will there be a throwback webcast with Shane and Lex at some point in the future? Sincerely, Tim M.
I don't even know if we can get both of them in the country at the same time at this point.
Wait, they're still in the country.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if...
yeah, where's their sitting senators?
The mainland.
Yeah, all right.
We would not be opposed.
Yeah,
If they would have to ask for it. Hey, can we come on the show again?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are both very much enjoying retirement in ways that go all over the place. So it's hard to rein them
We
in.
won't reach out to them.
Yeah.
Hey, I kept score. Do you want to hear it?
All right, let's do it.
All right, coming in at number 4, we've got JJ with 1 point. Coming in at number 3, Andrew with 2 points. Number 2, Jordan with 10 points. And coming in at number 1 with 1 million points is
Master of Suspense.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Cinnamon Toast.
Toast
Take it away, Kelly.
You were beaten by Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
You know what? I don't hate it.
All right, Jordan, that is it.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I always love PDQ&A. It was definitely a bit of a unique experience this time, but thank you for the early questions where I could spend some time doing some research. It helps me get better answers out there. For PDQ, I'm Jordan.
And speaking of early questions, for those that submitted early questions, you were registered to win some PDQ swag. So here are the winners. Congratulations, Michael V. Congratulations, Stu and Dale P. Send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. Thanks again for joining us. Like and subscribe, leave us your comments, and we'll see you back here next week. Bye-bye.